Welcome everyone to the first complimentary class of the Analytics Accelerator certification by equiskill.com. And this class will take you through a lot of things in data science, including what is data analytics, what is data science, how is it different, what is machine learning. We've got a couple of action-packed demos in Tableau and R. We're going to talk about your careers and how you can grow in your careers as well, right? And we're bang on time. Let's just have a look here. Our countdown timer says 0 seconds, so we're ready to go. Those of you that wish to practice along, I have shared the Tableau public link for you to download and install. It's possible to do that while you're actually in the webinar, right? Okay, and Nasir Rock, you're a fresher, so you need to listen through and you'll definitely get the answer to the question you just posted on how to start a career in data science. Right, folks. So who are we? This is equiskill.com. We had started out in the year 2015. Our vision was rather simple. We wanted to make sure that people have what it takes to draw insights from the vast amounts of data that all of us have to our access today. A lot of you may or may not know, but you have access to a Twitter API free of cost. And all of you can actually pull out tweets using the Twitter API and analyze what's being said on the internet today about anything or anyone, right? And we're going to take, a couple of examples. Okay, and those of you that have a challenge with the audio, I want you to also think about the app, and there's an app called Zoom Cloud Meetings. Okay, and Zoom Cloud Meetings app, can be downloaded on your Android phone as well as your Apple iPhone, and you can use the webinar ID 547-242-784 to get audio in case you're not getting it on your computers. Okay. All right, folks. So we have a couple of values, and the values that we have are as follows. It's simple. In data science, the only way you learn is if you practice. So we have a methodology that focuses on click and follow analytics workshops, and you'll see a little bit of that today. Those of you that have Tableau will get the chance to practice Tableau along with me, right? We maintain a small class size, typically less than 25 people, and have individual attention to all of you. I want to get to know all of you and help you through queries that you may have about the course and even outside of the course, right? Courses here are actually taught by analytics professionals who've worked in the industry for the longest time, as opposed to by trainers. And that helps you get a perspective on how things are actually applied in the industry. All right, so we've got a data set as well. Some of you saw that you could download Tableau. You also have the ability to download the data from the link that I've just shared here, and I'm just calling it data link. There you go. Okay, I'm sorry, I think I botched it up, so let me just send it again in the chat box. There you go. Now, before I kick off, I want to get to understand all of us here. We've got a wonderful, wonderful global class, and that's a normal day at Equiskill. Can you please introduce yourselves by sharing your name, a little bit about the location where you're based out of, whether it's Singapore, the US, or Europe, and a little bit about what you do. Do you work for a company, or are you a full-time student? And I'm going to start off myself. Right? Can you all hear me? Yes? Okay. And we've got introductions flowing in now, right? Okay. So we've got Ridwan from Indonesia. We've got Balaji from Bangalore. And welcome to both of you. We've got Rajesh from Bangalore and Oracle, right? Okay. Mahesh from Society General. We've got Firdaus from Singapore. Tilak from Bangalore. We've got Suresh from Chennai. Fantastic. Everybody else, please join in and share your introductions. It's more of a class than anything else, okay? So please do share your introductions, everyone. And hi, how are you? Okay, so I'm going to mute you and you can ask questions on the chat box, all right? Thank you so much. We've got Keith from Maersk Bangalore. We've got Howard from Dallas, Texas, engineer working on 5G LTE. Welcome, Howard. We've got Hamza from Tunisia, living in Kuala Lumpur. Wonderful. In Jakarta. Hamza, welcome. All right. So folks, moving forward, the faculty for these programs are, the guys that you see. And here's little old me. So I'm actually a vice president of analytics at Citibank, and I've worked with the G IoT teams. And then I was with the Amazon Fraud Analytics team. I worked very closely with these organizations before I started my company, equiskill.com. The co-chair for the program is Ujjwal, and Ujjwal is from Indian School of Business. It's ranked on the top 100 globally. He's actually worked at HSBC Corporate Banking Analytics, and he's actually working there right now as we speak as a corporate banking analytics leader. The way the course is divided up is that I totally focus on Tableau and on Power BI and SQL, a little bit of SQL as well. And Ujjwal focuses completely on R and data science and machine learning using R. Right? He's the guru for R and statistics, and we all love sharing our knowledge, whatever we do know, with you. We've trained hundreds of people, and we've got someone called Taufik Febri from Indonesia, who's currently jobless. And Taufik, that's going to change after analytics, so don't worry about it. Freshers have the maximum potential. Well, these are some of the companies where we've trained globally. I won't take a lot of your time. I'm actually the faculty for analytics at Symbiosis International University and Narsi Monji International University as well. And I regularly lecture in Kuala Lumpur, in Jakarta, Singapore. And we also have Python. Shiva, you're right. We also do Python. We had a webinar on Python this morning. But this is why you're all here, right? And this is why we're all talking, folks, right? Otherwise, you would not have come to this webinar. In 1 minute on the internet, precisely 1 minute on the internet, this is the vast amount of data that is getting generated, right? So you're talking about, well, let's have a look here, 277,000 tweets, right? You're talking about 4 million Google searches, 2.5 million Facebook searches, right? You're talking about Amazon making, close to $100,000 a minute now. This number has gone up since 2015, and Jeff is now the richest guy on the internet. So you're beginning to see that the one thing that's growing exponentially, right, and that has contributed to data growing in such a big, big way is computing. And it's just the fact that today, a lot of you have mobile phones that have RAM more than your computers. You're actually working on computers in your office, that, for example, have a 3 GB RAM, while your mobile phones have a 4 GB RAM or even more. So one is the computing, but the other piece is the number of users on the internet has just been shooting off in a completely different direction from what anyone could have imagined. So there's computing capacity, there's a lot of users. And what are these users doing? Everything you see on the screen here, right? So emails, YouTube, Pinterest, right? Tinders, WhatsApp, and a lot of these things. And you will see today that it was never too hard for you to extract all the tweets on any topic internationally. Now, can you guys give me a topic that's really hot and global and trending, and we're going to actually give you live Twitter analytics on that topic. Now, here's your chance to participate and tell us about a globally trending news, right? Can all of you type in the chat box? A sports person, a celebrity. Okay, we've got fraud. Yes, so Nirav is someone who defrauded a bank in India and he's disappeared to Europe. We've got SpaceX. This is superb. Howard, thanks a lot. SpaceX, I think that's the Elon Musk mission, right? SpaceX. We got cryptocurrencies. Okay, so cryptocurrencies, bitcoins. We can talk about bitcoins and Nirav Modi and SpaceX. Okay, so we'll put all of this together for you, and my team's actually working on that right now. Thank you. But see, you got to go to a link, and all of you need to think about upskilling yourselves on something that's in demand globally. And you've chosen data science, but to be fair to you, there's a link called the LinkedIn Top Skills, right? And all of you should have a look at this, okay? LinkedIn Top Skills 2017, because it tells you exactly why data science is, is standing at number 1 or number 2 or the top 5 in different geographies. And let's have a look at some of the country, right? This is a slide share link that breaks this down as per the different countries, and I'm just waiting for it to come up. Here we go. Just a second, I'm going to refresh this. There you go. Okay. And what you notice is when you look at the top skills in the United States, you've got statistics and data mining at number 2. It's at number 1 in the UK, number 1 in the UAE, number 1 in South Africa, number 4 in Singapore, number 1 in the Netherlands, and number 2 in Ireland, and in India at number 5. But there's many more countries in there, right? So I encourage you to read through this and also look at the other skill sets that are equally important. Now you might be wondering why I'm asking you to do that. Is because it's important you choose the right skill that matches your strengths. And I'm not here to sell you a course. I'm here to ask you to research that list and figure out what suits you best in that list. Now, if data science is what works for you, then you're at the right place, because Facebook and LinkedIn, right? What kind of companies are they? So let's talk about Facebook. They're both networking companies, but there's a difference, right? So what kind of networking would you do on Facebook versus LinkedIn? Could you guys type in the chat box, please? Let's start with Facebook. I'm not going to move ahead unless you type something in the chat box, folks. We really need to keep this interactive, right? So what kind of networking site is Facebook? Okay, I'll give you some options. Let me just see here. Okay, there you go. Social networking, right? Thanks, Shiva. Thanks, Abhishek and Rajesh. How about LinkedIn, folks? What kind of networking would that be? Professional networking, absolutely, right? The whole deal is, no matter which way you look at it, right? No matter which way you slice it, you will see that these sites get their traffic using networking, but they get their monies, their dollars, using what? Using data. And data today, therefore, is the new oil and the new soil. And even traditional companies, that didn't focus that much on data, are beginning to realize that data is super important. And so when you look at Walmart Labs, right? How many of you have heard of Walmart Labs? I'm not talking about Walmart, folks. I'm talking about Walmart Labs. Anyone? And you can please say no in the chat box if you have not heard about it. I'm not going to feel bad about this, okay? All right, you've not heard about it, right? So you guys should check it out, right? They've got a huge data analytics division and data science division at Walmart Labs, because they figured out that Amazon is making a huge sort of, upside and ROI on their data, while Walmart is not. And the result of that was Walmart Labs. How many of you know that Tata, a conglomerate that's above $1.105 billion, has an analytics division called Tata IQ? It's actually, an Indian conglomerate. It owns Jaguar, if you know the Jaguar cars. So these guys own it. They have a huge analytics division now in Bangalore, the Silicon Valley of Asia, right? Why so? Because data is not just the new oil, folks. Data is also the new soil. It's what you invest in so you can grow your future businesses, right? Now let me ask you a question, and you are allowed to make incorrect answers, okay? What are the different kinds of analytics? Very quickly. What are the different kinds of analytics that you have heard of ever? Okay, so Frika, Anastasia, welcome to the webinar. Grace, welcome to the webinar. It's great to see you guys. I think you just joined a little late. Keith, welcome. We've got Mufaddal, welcome. Praveen, fantastic. Okay, so some of you have the answer, but a lot of you are saying fraud, okay, language analytics, okay, fantastic, risk analytics, all right. So I want to clear this up, healthcare analytics. I'll take a quick 5 minutes, and is it okay if I talk about the different kinds of analytics, folks? Please say yes in the chat box, or Y if you're okay. Because it's a little different from the answers that I got. And I got some correct answers, right? Look, when you think about it fundamentally, it's really, really easy, okay? There's only 3 kinds of analytics and no more, right? And that's it. And the 3 kinds of analytics are exactly what you see here. The first is called prescriptive analytics. It's actually the most sophisticated one. The next is predictive and descriptive. Where this whole journey starts is with descriptive analytics, right? And descriptive analytics is really easy. It's about describing what is going on in a business at any given point in time. And what is going on is typically something that has already happened in the past. So it's an exercise in hindsight, right? How do you achieve this? Well, we've been doing it for ages. You have a database, you query the database and you generate some reports. Management asks you for some drill downs into the city, into genders, into a lot of other things. They ask you for metrics like profitability, profit after tax, before tax. They even ask you for alerts. For example, Walmart would surely want an alert when the inventory levels on a particular product are going below the danger levels, right? And those are alerts. All of you know descriptive analytics because you get alerts when there's something that's swiped on your credit card, right? And you see those transactions as alerts on your cell phone or email alerts, right? All of this, when you describe what is going on in a business, is called descriptive analytics. It usually is about what happened in the past, and it describes what happened in the past. Am I clear, folks? Am I clear so far? Please say yes in the chat box, and I'm going to move ahead. Okay, fantastic. So then what is the next most sophisticated kind of analytics? So once you've described what's going on in a business, and suppose I say that the sales in the business went down by 10% last month, all right, 10%. So we're sitting in February. In January, we had a 10% decline in sales. And this is what happened in the business. The next question that the CEO of the company is going to ask you is just 3 letters, and it starts with a W. Can you complete this for me? Come on, folks. Absolutely, right? You guys got it, right? So one is who, but Rafi, you got it, right? It's why. Why did this happen? Sure, everybody wants to know who did it, but they want to know who did it after they find out why it happened, right? Would that be a fair thing to say, Tilak? Yeah? Okay. So when you answer the question, why sales went down, you're going to need to deep dive, ain't it? You're going to have to figure out by analyzing your numbers, your quantitative analysis, as to what were the factors, and I'm using this word called factors. And in analytics, we try to call this variables, okay? We don't call this factors, we call this variables. What were the variables that led to sales going down by 10%? Now, you might say that the variable was seasonality, right? I'm using another analytical term there. So seasonality is when every year you see a dip in sales during a certain time of the year, or you see a huge upswing in the sales at a certain time of the year. Let me give you an example. How many of you know Black Friday? Please say yes in the chat box if you know Black Friday. Okay. And let's just see how many of us know this. All right. Quite a few of us know this, right? And what do you have at Amazon just around Black Friday? What do they call it? Amazon.com. It's the Black Friday lightning deals, right? The sales on the Black Friday, ain't it? Yeah. So at that time, Amazon experiences a spike in sales as it does in Christmas. But then after that whole period is over, the next thing that happens is sales go down, right? So that's seasonality. Okay. So if you're able to predict why sales went down, usually this is an exercise in, it's not in hindsight, it's about insight. So you see the word insight written over there because you need some insight into why sales went down. And as it turns out, it was the seasonality because of which it went down. Well, then you can predict and model this, isn't it? Next year, you could say, well, last year sales went down during this time, month of January, by let's say X%. And you could either do a crude model, which is what all of us do, because it went down by 9% last year, we believe that this year economy is not looking so good, so maybe it'll go down by 9.5%. But this is very crude arithmetic. You can actually do this much, much better if you use analytics and predict it by using R or Python, okay? And you could use linear regression or machine learning. Again, I've used this term called regression. Don't worry, it's a technique that you use to actually analyze and forecast your data and create relationships between variables like sales. Sales is a dependent variable, and independent variables like the growth of the economy, right? So let's call it the economic growth rate, or the number of people in your sales force, let's call that the manpower, or the incentives that you've decided to give people, let's call that X% of their fixed CTC this year. Sales depends on all of these things, isn't it? But how do you know exactly by what much? What is the equation? And that's where predictive analytics comes into the picture. All right. So if what is going on in the business is descriptive analytics and why it happened is predictive analytics, the next question is, great, sales are down, and we know sales are down. Sales are down because the New Year sale just went by, and we're sitting in the month of February. The next question that the CEO is going to ask you is a 3-letter word called what? You guys got it, ain't it? Yeah? It's all about how do we get sales back on track. If you want to get into analytics, please understand that your journey is not going to stop with a fantastic mathematical equation, right? Everyone's going to know what's the upside and how do we hit the upside. And that's what we call prescriptive analytics. My apologies. Prescriptive analytics is about prescribing, as the word says, prescribing how a business should move forward. And therefore, you see the word foresight written over here, right? All of you see the word foresight. So it's about knowing what's around the corner, isn't it? So if I'm Uber and I know that we're not going to get a lot of rides in the week that's coming up, what am I going to do? What's Uber going to do if it discovers it's not going to get a lot of riders, let's say in the city of Seattle next week? What are they going to throw at you? Come on, folks, this is nice and easy. Anyone? Yeah? Okay, there you go, right? So they're going to throw discount codes or offers at you, and you're going to say, yay, and you're going to hop onto that ride, right? It's as simple as that. But looky here, right? When you're Uber, you cannot have a human being taking these decisions, all right? So the moment we reach this zone here, it's not about human beings. It's all about machines taking these decisions, and that's why we call it, machine learning, because you program the machine to be able to take decisions in a dynamic environment using machine learning, right? And typically you would do this using ML algorithms. Python is hugely popular for that, but you'd have to combine it with other things. You could do machine learning alone, but if you've got a deep learning, then you'd probably have to use more things. It's even more sophisticated, closer to artificial intelligence. You'd have to use libraries, and Google has a library on machine learning. Amazon has a library on machine learning. It's really cheap. It's not that expensive, okay? So you could use TensorFlow, Google's library, or you could use, the Amazon AWS AI. In fact, the AWS ML platform, right? All of these, it's really, really easy for you to use these platforms. Okay, there are many applications of the three kinds of analytics that you just saw. And I'm going to take a couple of applications. And before I do that, does anyone have any questions about what I just talked about here? Descriptive, predictive, prescriptive. This is really important. So I'm going to take your questions before I move ahead. For example, what's big data analytics, right? Okay, no questions. So you guys already know what's big data analytics? Okay. Yes, no? If these are the three kinds of analytics, okay, so you're saying no. All right, I got it. I hear you, thank you. All right, prescriptive. All right, not necessarily, right? So everyone thinks that right here on top of the world is big data analytics, right? But you couldn't be further from the truth, okay? Big data analytics is nothing but applying these three kinds of analytics to data that is very large in size. So it has a huge volume, typically, let's say greater than 1 terabyte. Right now is big data. Now it won't be so 5 years later, by the way. And it has huge velocity. So you all saw what was happening in 1 minute on the internet, and that's growing every day, right? And it has a lot of variety. So you all saw in the visualization that you had Facebook searches, you had videos, you had Pinterest, Tinder, so a lot of different kinds of data. So when you have data that has these three V's, okay, volume, velocity, and variety, and it's got big size, right? Let's say greater than 1 TB. It's known as big data analytics. Even if you run descriptive analytics on data that sort of satisfies these parameters by using Hive to run a query. Hive is a software that you can use to run a query and get a report. That's it. That's all Hive does, right? So it would be big data analytics. If you run any of these analytics on risk, what kind of analytics would it be, folks? If you run these analytics in the risk domain, what kind of analytics would it be? Risk analytics, isn't it? And if you run it on the fraud domain, fraud analytics. If you run it on HR analytics, right? Okay. So everyone's clear on this piece, right? All right. I'm going to talk about some of the applications and the most important techniques out there in the industry. One of you talked about the patterns. So you can, build patterns using a lot of things. Ridwan, I think, talked about the patterns. So what is a pattern? A pattern is nothing but a relationship. So how do you do relationships? You run a scatter plot, right? And you're going to, see a pattern or a relationship in the data in the demo that I'm going to run today. So when you run this scatter plot using R or using Python, the scikit-learn libraries or the R libraries, you get a nice scatter plot, right? And this scatter plot tells you the relationship between two different variables. Now, in the case of this scatter plot here that all of you see, the relationship Ridwan is called a linear relationship because it's a straight line. But in the case of other equations that you might see here, for example, this one over here, right, this is not a linear relationship. It might be, there might be many other kinds of relationships like polynomial relationships, logarithmic relationships, many different kinds of relationships, right? So scatter plots are one of the tools, Ridwan, that helps us see a relationship. It also helps us see sometimes if there is no relationship. So in this case here, right, you don't see any relationship. So I hope that helps. And we will show you how to do this shortly. Okay. Data which is not ordered or systematic can be called big data. Kind of, okay, because you could have data which is ordered as well, okay, and so it would be huge in volume. It might have variety, it might have velocity, but it might be structured as well. For example, bank transactions, right? There is a structure to all bank transactions. They're not unstructured, but they do happen on many different platforms. So there's a lot of variety. There's volume, velocity. So it's still big data, right? Even though it kind of, is structured. Okay. All right. So let's look at some of the applications here. If you look at the industries that are using big data, I want you to Google this in your spare time. I can't cover all of this, but banks are using it to model risk and detect fraud. And we'll talk about Nirav and the fraud that's going on with him today using R. Okay. Amex is using it to upsell and cross-sell credit cards. So they want to know if you have an Amex credit card. By the way, how many of you know Amex? A-M-E-X, Amex? Please say yes if you do. Or Y. All right, fantastic. So it's American Express, right? For those of you who don't know, it's the American Express, really, really known for their credit cards, gold, silver, platinum credit cards. And if you have a silver credit card, they would like to sell you what kind of credit card? So my question is really simple. You already have a silver credit card, okay? And you get promoted. So they know from your spend patterns that you can now spend more money. So what kind of credit card would Amex try to sell you? You got it, right? So just gold, isn't it? So this is known as upselling. But if I'm Amex and I've got 10 million customers, right? And I need to find out who I need to sell the gold card to. I cannot send 10 million emails. Please understand me. They will spam you. They will hate you forever, right? How do I find out who are the right people to upsell this to? And that is called upsell modeling, okay? But if you already have a platinum credit card, you're not about to buy another credit card from Amex. So they could sell you other financial products, maybe not a credit card. So what could they sell you? Okay, higher grade credit card. Suppose you already have a platinum credit card. Then what would you try to sell me? It's the best credit card there. You can sell me other financial products. Can you give me examples? Okay, NRI. Okay, NRI account. Okay. What else, folks? Insurance, right? You got it. Absolutely. They could try and sell you insurance. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for whoever is drawing on the board. It's nice to see you doing the arts. Adds to the variety in the class. Okay. Now, the other piece here is that, thank you. Yeah. The other piece here is that you can run segmentations and segment your Amex customers into many different segments and decide which segment should you upsell what to. And this is done by using a technique called RFM, okay? And let me just talk about it here, especially, and this is a very, very sophisticated technique. It's called RFM, recency, frequency, monetary value, okay? What this does is it looks at the customers on the platform and tries to figure out who has been transacting most recently, very frequently, and been spending a lot of money. And it doesn't give you a score. It really puts you into many different buckets, around 11 different buckets, okay? And each one of those buckets is targeted with different upselling and cross-selling offers, right? This is called RFM sales analytics. Absolutely, right? But if you look at it, every industry is using analytics, right? This is here, e-commerce, banking, over here is retail, healthcare is doing it for drug testing, and for epidemic forecasting, reducing the epidemics or controlling the impact of epidemics on populations is being done using analytics. And then you've got, product bundling. So this is how Walmart decides which products to bundle with other products. You've got market basket analysis, which is what Amazon, LinkedIn, and Facebook are using as the recommendation engine. So you can see it right here, right? The recommendation engine is nothing but a statistical technique called market basket analysis. You can read about it. We'll teach you this technique in the program. All of these techniques are essentially analytics techniques. And the number one consumer of analytics in the world, surprisingly, is telecom, followed by banking, and then the e-commerce world, right? Now, if you look at it, banks are using analytics in a huge way, right? So someone talked about what are buckets. Okay, let me do this, right? Let me see if I can actually give you an example since you've asked me this question. Just give me a second here. And I'll show you the buckets that you can create using an RFM analytics model. There we go. Just a quick detour, folks, since some of you have asked this question. These are the buckets that you hope to create with an RFM analytics model, right? There you go. So have a look at these buckets here, okay? The buckets are the customers you cannot afford to lose, the customers who are at risk, loyal customers, you want to throw out offers to them, champions, you want to get them to recommend you on social media, needs attention, you want to reach out to them on a phone call and check what's happening because they haven't transacted on your platform for a long time. Potential loyalists, you want to convert them into loyalists, right? Okay. And then new customers, promising customers, lost customers already, sorry, don't irritate them, take them off your marketing list, don't target them at all. Hibernating customers, try to incentivize them to come back and catch an Uber ride if they haven't done that in the last 1 month. About to go to sleep, wake them up with an email saying, we miss you. I know a lot of you have got emails from platforms saying, we miss you. But guess what? The one that sent you that email is not a human being, it's a bot, right? And they miss you because they ran RFM analytics and figured out that you're not transacting on the platform because you've got a very low score here, right? Okay, there you go. I hope that answers your question on buckets, right? Okay, someone's got a question saying, what is recency score and how is it deduced? Very, very simple. Okay, here's how you calculate the recency score. What a lovely question. So if you last transacted, and what's the date today? What's the date today, folks?
17th.
So today is the 17th, and if you last transacted on the 12th of this month, your recency score basically is 5 days. Okay, now 5 days is the number of days ago when you transacted, but there are many other customers. So you need to break up all the customers as per the number of days ago that they transacted on the platform, arrange it in ascending order, and the one who transacted most recently gets the highest recency score because they've come a very short while ago and they've interacted. Now, if you hang around at the end of the webinar, I'll actually show you how an RFM analytics is done, folks, okay? Super cool. I love these questions. Keep them going, okay? And Rumi says, could you please tell me what was the 5th and the 6th column in the last slide? Okay, there we go. Rumi, here you go. So the 5th column in the slide, and let me see if I can minimize this here. There you go. The 5th column is actually telecom, okay? So this sector here is telecom, and they're actually the largest, users of analytics in the whole world, surprisingly. The 6th one is social. So it is Facebook, it is LinkedIn, it is Twitter, right? All of the social guys, this is social networking, right? You recognize the icon, isn't it? Okay. I hope that's clear, Rumi. There you go. All right, folks, thanks a lot. Now, banking is a huge consumer of analytics across the whole world. And the trend these days is something you should know. Banks used to use SAS, but they've moved from SAS and everyone's moving right now to R. And they're also beginning to use Python, but more R because banks do not use, Python because they don't really put things into production into the system using Python. They usually use R and put it into production using SAS or using other softwares that they're working on. But banks are really a huge consumer for analytics. And the reason is that today there's a bank in Europe that has a very, very few branches. Can you guess how many branches it has? The lowest number of branches that you could imagine. Banks typically have what, 100, 200, 500 branches. Okay, 5,000 says Jansi. How about others? Take a guess, folks. Even if you're wrong, I promise you I'll be nice. This bank in Europe has very few branches. How many? Tilak says 50. Come on, guys, stick your neck out, yeah? Girls, come on, guys and girls. Vivek says 1,000. Okay, but here's what's happening, right? This bank has 0 branches. And if one of you can tell me the name of the bank in Europe that has 0 branches, I promise you I'll send you something really, really nice to read about analytics, okay? All right.
That would be
So,
First Direct Bank.
I'm sorry?
That would be First Direct Bank.
Okay, there you go. So, can everyone please clap? And may I know your name, please? Yeah?
This is Dipali.
Dipali, okay, thanks a lot. There you go. All right, folks. So, Dipali, you should send me a private chat with your email ID. I'm going to share a couple of really special things with you, okay? All right, and not to say that the others won't get it, okay? So, the focus is now, folks, on debranching, okay? Debranching is about doing retail banking analytics to look at the footfall of customers in banks like Capital One in the US or Wells Fargo or, banks in India, like the State Bank of India, or really, when you look at the Siam Bank, how many of you know the Siam Bank in Southeast Asia, right? And how do you actually reduce the footprint of customers who are visiting the bank and convert them into customers that are going to transact? How? If they're not going to visit, how do you want them to transact? Come on, folks. Debranching using analytics. So if they don't visit a bank, how would they transact? Okay, we've got some answers. All right, right. Online is one, but you've also got to think about omni-channel, right? So I want all of you to Google and read about omni-channel. So what is omni-channel, right? It's not just about online, right? Today, you might actually interact via email. You might interact via chat. You might interact via IVR, okay? Calling, right? And there might be so many different ways, and in person by visiting the bank as well. And one of you just wrote on the board IVR. Thank you so much. I love it when you guys play. All right, there you go. SMS banking. And what about, how many of you live in Southeast Asia? So what about WeChat? Can you do banking and purchasing on WeChat? Yeah, can you do banking on WhatsApp? Okay, so now you're beginning to understand what I mean when I say analytics is revolutionizing banking using omni-channel. Okay, there you go. And I write about a lot of these things, folks, on Quora.com, and you'll find me blogging very regularly on Quora. So just a very, very small detour, okay? I'm going to take a lot of time. But on Quora.com, if you look at the writers globally on analytics, you will find little old me there. And this is me here. Just give me a sec. And some of you might be following me on Quora. So I'll just share my Quora profile. I'd love to stay connected with you on Quora. Thanks, Nasir Rock, for your comment. Please send me your email ID and I will get in touch with you. Right, so here you go. So this is the Quora profile. I blog a lot on Quora and I talk about trends across the world. And you'll find me in analytics writers globally. And if you click on the most viewed writers, luckily I'm at number 4 today. Okay, there you go. So I blog a lot and I look forward to some of you sort of staying connected with me on Quora and following me on Quora, where I share a lot of different things about analytics on a daily basis. Okay, I'm back to the webinar now. Oops, not this one here. There you go. Right, folks, but it's not just banking, right? Even human resources woke up in 2013 and discovered that CEOs were mighty unhappy. And this was a study by PricewaterhouseCoopers in 2013 that got them going. And here's the study, right? And as you look at this visualization, everywhere that you see orange color is an unhappy CEO. Now, if you're guessing what I'm guessing, that's a lot of really unhappy CEOs, right? Out of 1,258 CEOs, by PricewaterhouseCoopers, these many of them were actually feeling that data, by the HR department was inadequate. But after that, they said adequate, but like to see more. So all the blue colors are adequate, but they would like to see more. Now, if you're guessing what I'm guessing, you're beginning to look at this visualization. You already know 80% of the CEOs were unhappy with the amount of HR data, or they were not happy enough. And that's the call to action that got HR going. So here's what happened. People analytics came up and it's revolutionizing the HR industry. And I hope you know that Facebook uses analytics in a big way, as does GE. So GE, Facebook, Google, heavy users of HR analytics, right? And they use it to boost employee engagement, employee productivity. So what I'm trying to get to is it's not just all the industries and banking that has adopted analytics. It's even the support functions like HR, like finance, like procurement, like supply chain, manufacturing, right? Everyone's jumping on the bandwagon. And it means that you've got a fantastic career path. Now, these are the wages, but if you look at it in the US, let me go with a couple of other geographies. In the US, you're looking at wages starting typically for R, specifically for R programmers who are good in data science, at around 104,000 USD. And if you're in Python, then at around 93,000 USD, because it's an easy language and many more people sort of know Python than R. R is a little tougher, but don't let me put you off, okay, because the wages are really, really good. And there's this study that all of you should read about, right? And I would say, really, long term, it's not about choosing between R and Python at all, because together they command a huge market share. So I'll give you a couple of links to just give you an idea, right? Now, what you see here is there's R versus Python, right? Just a sec there. I'll give you one of the best resources on the internet on this whole comparison of R versus Python, right? So there we go. Here we go. So this resource tells you a lot about R and Python. I think both of them started off in the 1990s. One is very popular with statisticians and data science folks, R, and the other one is really popular with the machine learning and deep learning folks, which is Python. Python is really easy to program. R is a little more difficult, but R has fantastic statistical libraries, while Python is catching up on that. Over a period of time, R has picked up compared to Python, and Python and R are now almost neck to neck. But if you look at the wages, and by the way, what just dropped down on my screen was Descriptive Analytics. It's an alert by this website. So they're using it to sort of get me to sign up for something. But here you go. So these are the wages that you see for R and Python, perhaps because of the reason that R is really nice and easy to do, and Python's a little more difficult and statistical, but it's comparable. I mean, I would say over a long-term period, you should learn both of these languages. They're both open source, great community support, and R now has the support of Microsoft. So Microsoft has decided to adopt R, and you have MRAN. There you go. This is the Microsoft R Open that is compatible with Azure and SQL Server. And one of the big reasons why R is going to be continuing into the future along with Python is that it's got adoption now from one of the largest global corporations, apart from being open source. Okay, so I hope this helps. And Shiva says Python has more flexibility. Python is easier to code in, but the statistical libraries in R are stronger than Python right now. The Python community is working really, really hard to make the statistical libraries in Python a little stronger, Shiva. Okay, all right, there you go. Now, wages in the US would typically, in my experience, I saw someone at the director level in New York making, well, let's say around, I can't reveal the numbers, but a little bit like 0.5 million USD, and more towards moving up from there towards around 0.6 million at a very senior level, typically with around 20 years experience, right? And you start out over here. Now, this is not, the starting point can be anywhere from around $80,000 if you're, genuinely into data science in some of the best companies. Okay. So that's kind of like the spread for those geographies, right? And I could share more, but the important thing is some of you may be technical. So understand that the business track has a role in analytics. So if you've studied economics, it don't matter. You can join analytics. If you've studied physics, I have a lot of physics folks I know in analytics. If you've studied commerce, if you've studied a master's in business administration or a BBA, right, for that matter, even statistics and mathematics, right? All of these people, even pharmacy, okay, even pharmacy. There's a lot of people from a pharmacy background in analytics. So there's all of these people that have some kind of domain knowledge, and there is a role for them, but there's also a role for a lot of folks that are really technical, and they want to work on the technical side of things, and that's the green line that you see there. Now, these guys may be in computer science, maybe engineers, they might be masters in data science, they They could have a variety of backgrounds, or even civil engineering for your information, mechanical engineering, metallurgical engineering. It just doesn't matter. I've seen folks heading up companies that are from all of these backgrounds, right? And you tell me right now, I can show you, folks that are heading up these companies and from many, many different backgrounds. Let's talk about, my colleague who started the course along with me, So he's the head of analytics and machine learning for Cabbage, which is a fintech company in the US. They give loans online. I hope some of you have heard of Cabbage. Could you please say yes in the chat box if you've heard of Kabbage? So they're a fintech company, and by fintech I mean financial technology company that gives you a loan in 7 minutes. Okay, that's it. 7 minutes flat, you get a personal loan because they use analytics to understand your profile. And by the way, he's actually, I think, a chemical engineer, if my memory serves me right. Let's see. Yeah, he's a chemical engineer from HBTI, and then he was at Dallas, Texas for the longest time, and from the Indian School of Business and University of Arkansas. But here's his, start. It's a chemical engineer start, right? So that's how it goes. I mean, no matter what your background is, tell me, and I will show you people from analytics in that background. And I challenge you, you can ping me at my email ID. Hey, by the way, I'm happy to stay in touch with you. So Amit at equiskill.com. And I'd love to stay connected with you on LinkedIn as well. So those of you who'd like to connect with me on Quora, that'd be perfect. But in case you'd like to, sync up and stay in touch with me on LinkedIn, I'd love to be a part of your network. And let me do that now. There we go. There we go. And that's my LinkedIn. MBA, there's like tons and tons of MBAs in analytics, Rajiv. I'm an MBA too, by the way. Okay, psychology degrees. Yes, I have seen people from psychology backgrounds with one. Please email me. I'll share their details with you, right? Okay. Anyone who has handled data can do analytics, okay? Anyone who has some domain knowledge can do analytics. So this will be clearer to you now. Data science is all of the algorithms that you need to pick up to do upselling, cross-selling, forecasting. So what do you need? You need linear regression, okay? You need logistic regression. And don't be scared. These are all very simple things to learn, okay? And we will help you get there. You do need to understand clustering of customers, so you can prepare different segments of customers to target. One clustering technique I showed you today was called RFM, recency, frequency, monetary value. But there are many, many proper algorithms in machine learning, like the k-means clustering algorithm that you will learn in R along with us in this course. There's also hierarchical clustering. Okay, we call it hierarchical clustering. So clustering is the other algorithm you need to learn apart from regression, linear logistic. You need to learn clustering. You need to learn decision trees, right? And you need to pick up 3 kinds of decision trees. And then ARIMA time series forecasting. And finally, it wouldn't be good if you leave without learning gradient descent machine learning algorithm as well, right? So we cover that too. These are some of the techniques. Now, all of these fall under this circle you see here called data science. But that's not it. In order to implement all of this, just learning linear regression, you could do it in Excel as well. But the chances of you, applying it in Excel for a large data set may be bleak. For small data sets, absolutely, Excel is used in a very big way, right? For larger data sets, you need to have some IT skills, and you need to use either R or Python, right? Or SAS. And there are many more tools. It's not the end of the world, right? The open source tools like Nime, which is a UI-based open source tool. Airbnb has created its own visualization software, called Superset. But typically, you need to pick up some predictive tools like R, SAS, Python, okay? You also definitely need to pick up some visualization tools. So I would say Tableau and Power BI are the #1 tools in the world right now. And if you ask me to prove this to you, it's not me speaking, it's the data speaking. So let me give you an article, right? All right, all you need to do is, and I'll give you the recording, so don't you guys worry, okay? You'll be able to get all these links. Just Google Gartner, the #1 body for research in the whole world, the Gartner's Magic Quadrant for the year 2017, the year that just went by, and zoom right in and copy this. And you'll realize that right on top of the Gartner's Magic Quadrant for the year 2017 are which tools? Now I know it's a little bit hard for you to see. I'm going to zoom in here and you should be able to see it. The tools are Tableau and Microsoft Power BI, right? So Tableau and Microsoft Power BI are the joint leaders in 2017. Of course, there's some really good stuff, like Salesforce, you've got ClickView, it's very close to being a market leader. You've got Spotfire and a lot of these other things. But the reality is that your employability will be highest and your acceptability in the market will be highest if you knew Tableau and Power BI. And that's why I'm seeing the maximum jobs, even more than R in Bangalore. My students are getting interviewed for Tableau. Okay. I just want to share this with you because the whole market talks about R and Python, but jobs happen in Tableau, Excel, and SQL. Okay. All right. So those are your IT skills. You now know you need some predictive analytics IT skills, either in R or Python, and you need some descriptive analytics skills in Tableau or Power BI, and you also need a little bit of SQL to query your data in a very, very effective way. But that's not all. And here's the most important part, right? Unless, folks, you have business skills, you're not going to get anywhere in the world of data. So if you run a modeling or an algorithm without understanding the business, you might be lucky if you get a predictive accuracy of 68% or even 57%. By the way, if you go anywhere less than 50% accuracy, people are going to laugh at you. Why? Because you don't need to know analytics if your accuracy is not going to be more than 50%. Suppose I say, between Jim and Jane, now how many, which one of them should I give a loan to and which one of them not? Or I add a few more people, Paul, and I say Tim, and you tell me that, well, you can give a loan as per my analytics model to Paul and Tim, and as it turns out in the model, that's just 50% accurate, because the reality was that I could have given a loan only to Paul and Jim. Well, as it turns out, if you take a guess, your chances of guessing Paul and Jim would have been 50%, right? So there's no use of analytics unless it's accurate. And the only way that it's going to be accurate is if you get to know these people that I spoke of, these four people, and then understand the domain, get the variables that describe these people, and improve the accuracy of your model to at least more than 70%. And that's where people begin to think you have a decent model. Above 80%, people think you have a good model if you can predict sales with 80% accuracy, for example. Above 90%, people think you're a rock star, and above, well, 95%, they think you're a Jedi in data science. Okay, so that's how that goes. But you'll see on Kaggle, there's a ton of people who are getting almost 98.6% kind of accuracies. Okay, it can happen if you learn data science, right? So these are the skills that you need to pick up, and I know that you have some of these skills. You either understand a business or a domain like psychology or commerce or financial analytics, or you have some IT skills. Maybe you know some Excel, maybe you know some BI tools, but maybe you're missing the algorithms. Or maybe you know statistics, so you know the algorithms, but you're missing technology. You don't know how to code. But no matter who you are, analytics is right here at the intersection of all of these three. So you are going to need to pick up one or more of these things if you want to transition into analytics or use analytics in your career. Okay? Am I clear on this slide? Any questions before we move ahead? We're now inching towards our demo. I know you're all getting really, really excited about the demo, right? Any questions on this slide, folks? Please say no in the chat box if you don't have any questions. And hang around, because we have a feedback form that we're going to share at the end of the class, and fill the feedback form to get your recording and your presentation of the whole demo. All right, so you guys are saying no questions, right? Fantastic. Okay, so here's the course structure, right? Here's how the course goes. But the idea is not that you join the course, really. Those of you who want to join, it's perfectly fine. But for the rest of you, it's about understanding what you need to learn in a good data analytics course. Most importantly, the course should help you define a business problem. Clients are never ever clear about what they want from their data. They've heard a lot of things about analytics. They've heard that analytics can help a car drive itself. It can help help you defeat Gary Kasparov, right? But they don't know exactly what to do with their own data. And this is where you come in as an analytics professional, because you learn how to actually define the problem and get agreement from the client on the problem that you're going to solve, and help the client understand that they need to give you the data. Because, by the way, 70% of the time spent in any analytics project is just getting the data and cleaning the data. Would you all agree, right? It's all getting the data and cleaning the data takes 70 days or 100 days, and that's when you get to do all this cool stuff that you see over here, right? Okay, so after that, you need to learn statistics, and two kinds. Okay, the first is called descriptive statistics, and the second is called prescriptive statistics, inferential statistics. My bad. Okay, inferential statistics. Okay, you're going to ask me what are these. So here you go. Descriptive statistics is about describing things like the average. Okay, average is an example of descriptive statistics. The mean, the median, the mode, okay, of a data set, where the mean salary of a coder is, what the mode salary, frequently occurring salary of a coder is, what the what is the 50th percentile of coder salaries. All of this is sort of describing it, right? Are the salaries distributed in a normal curve? This is the spread of the salaries, right? Even the spread of the data is a part of descriptive analytics, right? But then you get to something called inferential analytics. And what is this about? Okay, so inferential analytics is nothing but trying to generalize something about a population, for example, all the women in the US and their height, by looking at a smaller sample. Maybe by sampling close to 200 women in the US, you'll be able to look at the average height of all the women in the US. Now, good luck if you want to reach out to all the women in the US and ask them how tall they are, because that's not going to happen. But if you talk to 200 and they're the right 200 people, which is called a sample, okay, if it's a representative sample of the US population, you'll probably get pretty close to the height. So you learn statistics, and then you need to learn descriptive analytics using Tableau and Power BI. Sorry, we're not covering SAS in this course. That's a typo there. Okay. And then finally, after descriptive, you need to analytics using Tableau or Power BI. You need to get into all of the advanced data science algorithms, right? And I spoke about them, but to point them out on the screen here: regression, time series, decision trees, social media analytics, sentiment analysis, market basket, clustering, gradient descent algorithm, and machine learning. All of this happens in R, and it takes almost around 9 to 10 classes of 3 hours each for this to happen, right? And at the end of it, you get a German credit card data set to run a capstone project. Any course that you do should give you a really good project with 20 plus variables to make great predictions. And in this, you get to predict using credit card transactions who you can give a loan to and who you should not give a line of credit to, because it will end up as a bad debt or NPAs. Okay, right, there you go. Okay, so are we all ready for the demo now in Tableau? Please say yes in the chat box if I can continue with the Tableau demo. All right, so what is Tableau, right? I'm going to connect to a very simple data set called the Global Superstore data set. And I'll just show you guys the data set now. There we go. And just give me a second here while I open up the data set. Okay, here we go. So I'm opening up the Global Superstore data set. I'm going to show you guys this data set in Tableau, and then we're going to connect up with this data set in Tableau after we have a look at the data set in R, right? Okay. Here we go. So what you can see in this data set, folks, is that you've got some orders and you've got some returns, right? And we've placed a whole lot of orders, and you can see the orders here. For this company, you've got order ID, order date, shipping date, customers, their names, segments, cities, states, countries, postal codes, right? All of that. And the markets that they belong to, profitability, sales, shipping cost, all of that, right? So we're going to import this data set into Tableau. My apologies. There we go. Okay. And let's see if we can pick up the global superstore dataset. There we go. So we've pulled the dataset into Tableau here, and I'm going to drag out orders and I'm going to drop it here. These are all the orders that got placed for this particular dataset, and just wait for it to come up. Now the beauty of Tableau is that it can connect to a lot of data sources. So if you say new file and you look at the different kind of files that it can connect to, virtually any database from Amazon Redshift, right, to Oracle Sybase, SQL, it can connect to all the databases. It can connect to your Google Analytics. It has integration with R and Python, both, right? So it's really, really powerful in that sense. And I've connected live with this data set over here. I haven't extracted it. I'm connected live. So if you make changes to the file, it's going to show up here in my data. Okay. First up, what I'm going to do is split the orders and look at how easy it is to split a field in Tableau. I'm going to split this field order ID into its constituent 3 parts and get this data set ready for analysis. So I click on split, boom, there you go. Okay. And I'm going to delete a couple of splits here. Split number 3. I'm going to delete split number 2. There you go. And I have order ID split number 1, which is nothing but the distribution center, India, Canada. So I'll rename this distribution center. Now watch how quickly we're going to play around with this data set and understand what's going on in different markets, right? So I'll just run quickly a couple of visualizations. The first one that I'm going to do is to figure out which are the emerging markets for us and where we're doing a lot of business. So I want to look at quantity, I want to look at city and country. But before I get there, I want to show you something really interesting, right? You can see measures and you can see dimensions. Now this is kind of interesting, isn't it? Because when I was in the data source, it all looked like one continuous line of variables or columns. But when I get into this view here in Tableau, it's got split up into 2 parts. Okay, so I'm going to explain dimensions and measures to you in Tableau in a very, very simple fashion. Tell me, when a baby is born, what does the doctor measure to make sure that the baby is doing okay? Simple question. Please put it in the chat box, folks. All of you. Here you go, right? Height, weight, pulse, temperature, exactly. So dimensions are the things that you measure to make sure that your business is doing okay. Is that super clear to everyone? Yeah? And therefore, you see in there profit, you see sales, you see the quantity we've sold, the shipping cost, the discounts we're giving, right? You've got to check if you're giving too much discount or too little discount. You're probably okay if your discounts are somewhere in between the upper control limit and the lower control limit. But you do have defined values for these measures to make sure that things are okay. And those are measures. Now, what do you talk about a baby when the baby is born, which describes the baby? How do you adore the baby? What do you talk about? The looks of the baby, right? What do you talk about? Come on, folks. How do people adore a baby? Right, there you go. The baby is cute, right? The baby is cute. And how do you define cute? Tell me something about the eyes. Tell me something about the shape of the face, right? Come on, folks. What about the gender of the baby? Don't you say it's a baby boy, baby girl? Yeah, folks? Please say yes or no in the chat box. Yes, absolutely. Okay, MFIR says big eyes, okay? Big eyes, what else? How about blue eyes or green eyes? Yeah? Smile, pink baby. Now, these things here, right? Here's how it works. These things describe the baby, but they do not have desirable values. Do you agree with this? Do you think there's a desirable value to the color of a baby's skin or the color of a baby's eyes? Yes or no? Do you think there's a desirable value to gender, whether it's a boy or a girl? No, right? Come on, folks. I want everyone else to answer. No, there are no desirable values. Even if it was a girl, you would have adored her. If it was a boy, you would have adored her. Anything that does not necessarily have desirable values are dimensions. For example, how many of you want to change the name of your customer? Right? The name of the customer does not take on desirable values. You're okay if he's called Paul, Ram, you're okay if he's called Gupta, you don't care, right? you don't particularly care the city or the country where they live in, as long as you do great business with them, right? You don't particularly want to change their postal code and make them shift to a new zip code. So one of you asked the question, how does it work? The way it works is Tableau picks up the dimensions and the measures, and then you can analyze things. Tableau auto detects these things, right? Okay. And Rumi is really happy. He's saying, ha ha ha. There you go. And it figures out which ones are the measures and the dimensions. Okay. It's not always right. So sometimes you've got to drag things from dimensions and put them into measures with your understanding of the business. Now watch how it does a great job of doing some lightning fast analysis. So I'm going to take category and throw it on rows. And you see all the different categories in the 3 different rows: furniture, office supplies, and technology. That's how it behaves, right? And then I take the quantity sold and I throw it on the columns. And now in the columns, you see whether you sold 10,000, 20,000, or 30,000 pieces. I take the segments that we're operating in and I throw that into the rows. And now, apart from furniture, office supplies, and technology, you also see your segments. You're selling out to consumers, the corporate and the home office segment, right? And you want to look at what markets you're operating in the world, right? Your geographical footprint. So you take market and you throw it on the columns. Really nice visualization, except that it lacks color. So I'll take the last step. I'll throw market on color. And now what you have here is an understanding of the sales across different countries across the world. You can easily see that Canada is a new market, right? You can also see that Africa and EMEA are actually emerging markets for us. Is that clear from this visualization to everyone? Please say why in the chat box so I know you're able to sort of get this. Yeah. Now, how many seconds did it take to achieve this in Tableau? Okay. MFIR says absolutely great, isn't it? But that's not it. So you can right click and you can view your data, and here you go. So behind all of this, Tableau is working in the background and creating tables, it's creating databases, and you can export your data too. So you can right click and export, copy this data over here, and you can go and export this particular visualization and the data that's associated with it by pasting it here. And boom, there you go. And you can start playing around with this in Excel, insert a nice table, yummy, and you could do all your analysis on this table, right? And you could go back to Tableau and create one more visualization. So what I'm getting to is Tableau is not just about presenting. I am not presenting to you folks. We are exploring this data together. We are not just presenting. So let's do a little more exploration, okay? Let's look at the sales across the world, and I'll rename this sheet Emerging Markets, okay? I'm now going to look at the sales across different countries in the world. So I'll take country in dimensions and I'll click on sales in measures, okay? I've selected country and sales together, and I'll click on this little button called show me on the top right corner. Now it's got something to show you, so I click on it and it recommends this symbol map here. And it actually tells you, if you look closely enough downstairs, it says use this when you have one geographical dimension. In this case, my geographical dimension is country. 0 or more other dimensions, I don't have any right now. 0 or 2 measures, I have one measure, which is sales. So I'm going to select this recommendation, double click. And the moment I do that, boom, it shows me the sales in different countries in the world. As I increase the size of the bubble to see where I have the maximum sales, can you tell me which country in the world is giving us the maximum sales? Just by looking at the size of the bubbles? You're absolutely right, right? It's the US, okay? But where in the US? Which state? Can you tell me right now which state in the US is giving me the maximum sales? Yes or no? Just say yes or no. By looking at this visualization, no, right? But what if I throw state into the picture? There you go. So I'll take state and I'll throw it here in the visualization, and kaboom. Now what you have is the sales for each and every state in the US. I'm going to make this a little nicer on your eyes. So I'm going to reduce the opacity of my bubbles and add a nice little border there. Yeah, there you go. So can you now tell me some of the states in the US that are getting us a lot of sales? California, New York, right? This is the power of exploring data with visualization. But can you tell me right now where we're making profits? Sure, Dallas in the Midwest is also pretty big, right? Texas here. Thanks, Rafi. But can you tell me using this where we're making profits? Not exactly, right? You cannot. It's just the sales, isn't it? So what do I do? Well, Tableau makes this super easy because I'm going to take profit and drop it on top of color. And I'm going to change the color so it's nice and easy for you to see green for profits and red for losses, and use the whole color range, and kaboom, right? Now, can you tell me where in the US are we actually making losses? In which states? Come on, everybody can see this on their screens, guys. It can't be so hard. Type it in the chat box. Texas, isn't it? It looked cool, but it is not. Ohio ain't cool either, right? Neither is Pakistan and Turkey. We've got a couple of other challenges in some other regions as well. So it makes it so easy for you to deep dive into where you want your sales teams to focus and drive profitability further, including here in Panama. Definitely not a great place, right? But more than this, okay, you can also run predictive analytics. Okay, so far what we've been doing is we've been looking at descriptive analytics. Let's move to predictive. Okay, here we go. So we spent a lot of time on descriptive. It's time for some predictive. So I want to know what is causing these losses. Could it be, I don't know. Let me just check the segments and let's see if I can get a cue from the segments. I'll add that to the filter, and adding the segments to the filter, I'll make this a nice radio button so we can all play with it. There we go, a single values list. And it's time for us all to explore and have a look at this. So these are all, this is consumer, corporate, and home office. I can't seem to tell if there's a problem with the segment. So I'm going to throw the segment out, okay? I'm going to pull in something else. Let's see if we can look at the product category. So I'll add that to the filter. And in the product categories, I'm going to convert this to a single values list so we can all play with it together, okay? There we go. This is overall, this is office supplies, this is technologies. Now, do you all see that Texas isn't that bad when it comes to technology? You're actually making profits, right? Do you all see that? Correct? Do you now see that Texas is not loss making anymore? Okay. Hey, Howard, how did I do the sum of profit colors? Oh, Howard, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry I missed that question, Howard. All right. So can you all see that Dallas is not loss making when it comes to technology? Now, what about office supplies? So you can see it is making losses in office supplies, but Pakistan is not, right? Let's go to furniture. Now, in furniture, you see there's a lot more states making losses, including Pennsylvania, Panama, even Stockholm, Bangkok, New Zealand. Do you all suspect now that furniture may be driving losses? Yes or no? Just say yes or no in the chat box. Okay, maybe it's the shipping cost of the furniture that is causing all of this. And that's where we can actually run some predictive analytics and see if shipping cost is going to be impacting furniture, okay? So here we go. I'm going to do some predictive analytics for you and try to see if shipping cost is impacting profit. So what I'm going to do is take shipping cost and drop it on the column, and take profits and drop it on the rows. And I get 1 point, just one total profit, total shipping cost for my whole company, right? I'd like to see how we're doing in different markets, and don't worry, I'll explain this to you when you join the course. You'll understand how to do it better. I drop market on shape, and now I've got three, I've got in fact 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got 7 markets, and the total sales, total profit, total shipping cost in all of these markets, right? Okay. Romy, you can use the trial version even after 14 days. I will show you how to use that. Please stick around till the end of the webinar, yeah? Okay. So what I've done so far is I've dropped profit and shipping cost on the rows and the columns, and I've dropped market on the shapes, right? I'm going to drag the category on the color. There you go. And now for each category, furniture, office supplies, technology, and each of the shapes, I have 1 point that tells me the total profit, total shipping cost. So this here is total, profit and shipping cost for furniture in APAC. It's a square, but so is this one here. So this is technology in APAC because APAC is a square. So you can all see that there are 3 squares. One is APAC technology, one is APAC furniture, and the third one is APAC office solutions. And just like that, you've got 7 into 3, 21. So you've got 21 points on this curve that talk about profit and shipping costs. But I'll make it more interesting. I'm going to throw in each and every customer ID on the detail. And boom, you've got like a gazillion transactions going on, right? Now, this is every customer you can imagine in the company. And after this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to disaggregate. It's a big word, but it's really simple. So all of you can see here that I've got the sum of profit and I've got the sum of shipping cost. But the moment I disaggregate, you'll see that instead of the sum, you'll have only profit and shipping cost for each and every transaction. And there you go. I've disaggregated, I've nicely spread out my data. I would like to know, I would like to predict. Let's come to predictive analytics. I'd like to use regression to predict if my profit is being impacted by my shipping cost. And I'd like to forecast. So I'm going to model it for you right away in front of your eyes, analyze it. We've already done that. And I'm going to forecast into the future. What is the relationship of profit and how I can make an equation of profit with shipping cost? Okay, shipping cost multiplied by something, right? And what is that something? So let's find out. There we go. So I'm going to, and take the analytics pane. I'm going to drop in the analytics pane on the top right corner. I'll drop the trend line and linear regression. Boom, there you go. Okay. And as you can see here, profit is equal to 0.74 into shipping cost minus 4.46. The R squared value is 0.069. Let me write this on the table for you. 0.069. Can someone convert this into percent for me, please? If I multiply this by 100, what do I get? Someone in the chat box? 6.9%, right? Okay, approximately 6.9%. Okay. What it tells you is that the relationship, the extent to which shipping cost and profit are related to each other is only 6.9%. That's not a lot, right? Someone tells you that smoking and cancer are related, and that 60% of all smokers get cancer, right? But this is just 6.9%. So do you think it's a significant relationship between profit and shipping cost? It is not, right? So if your business leaders think that shipping cost is driving down the profits, they're actually wrong. They're not. Okay. And we don't even need to go to the next statistical variable, which is the p-value, which is less than 0.001, because the coefficient of determination, r squared, is only 6.9%, which means the relationship, the extent to which y changes when x changes, is only 6.9%, y being profit and x being shipping cost. And all of you remember the equation, y is equal to mx plus, can someone complete this for me? Mx plus c, and that is nothing but your linear regression trend line. Now, as it becomes more complex in real life, profit can depend on a lot of things. It can depend on shipping cost, it can depend on discounts, it can depend on the total sales, the quantity sold. So it's not just X, right? In real life, you have like a gazillion variables. I mean, X1, X2, X3, X4. And if you ever hear someone say multivariate analysis, there are 4 variables, right? That's called a multivariate. If it's just one variable, for example, just X, you call it a univariate analysis. If it's 2 variables like X and Y, you call it a bivariate analysis, okay? And this one here is multivariate. Very nice. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and let me just do a quick time check. Can the admin team tell me when were we supposed to close the webinar? Do we have 12 minutes left, folks, everyone? Because I have a really exciting demo for you coming up now, which is text mining, and we're going to hand this over to Pallab, who's going to run a quick text mining for us. So I'm going to make him the host now, over to him. He's just going to show you, I'm going to talk you through the text mining. I hope I have time, folks. I think we have a few minutes left to close, right? 12 minutes. Am I right, everybody? Do I have your permission to extend for 12 minutes?
Twitter's API is not working. I'm showing the easy base for sure.
We're not going to run the Twitter thing, we'll just show you a quick sentiment analytics of an e-commerce company that does business. It fixes mobile phones, laptops, appliances, and I want to show you what their customers are thinking, what their customers are saying, and what they can learn from that sentiment analysis in R, right? What you're going to see is, natural language processing, NLP, and it's being used in R in a package called the sentiment package. And we're going to run sentiments on the live Google feedback given by people across the world for this particular company, right? And that's just coming up in a very short while. In the meanwhile, I want to make sure none of you miss the recording, okay? So I'm going to right away collect your feedback and make sure that all of you get the recording for the session. Remember, I respect your privacy. I am the CEO of the company, and I'll make sure that your data is respected. I have just one request from the admin team. Can you please share the feedback form for today with everyone? And in the meanwhile, if some of you liked our webinar, we are rated 4.9 out of 5 on Facebook. My request would be if you could please rate us on Facebook. So here we go. And here's our Facebook page, right? And here are the reviews. Those of you who enjoyed, the webinar, my request is very humble that please do rate us 5 on 5 on Facebook and share a little bit about what you liked, right? At least 2 or 3 lines, so to make it creditable. And Romy, I'm going to collect your feedback right away. And in the feedback form, I have email ID and mobile numbers. So we'll make sure that you get the feedback. And I'd like to thank Simon Sunny for liking our Facebook page. Thanks a ton, Simon. Okay. And others also, please do like our Facebook page and rate us 5. Okay. And we also have a wonderful, hey, Howard, thanks a ton for your details there. That's very nice of you. We also have a wonderful Facebook group for data enthusiasts, right? Where we share a ton of stuff like free events, jobs, the latest that's happening in technology. So I'll share the link for that with you as well. I want you to join our Facebook page, our Facebook group. So Sid, if you could please share the link for the Facebook group and the feedback form for today while we get the text mining up, okay? Pallab, could you please share your screen? I've made you the host. Just a second, folks, while we get this up. Okay. All right, folks. So there's a little bit of a challenge with the R demo, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the recording of the R demo with all of you. And this is our Facebook page here. I'll make sure that I share a full sentiment analytics demo. We've got a class that has 15,000 views globally, right, on sentiment analytics. And I will email you that along with the source codes so you can run it and really enjoy that class to the entirety, right? And here is our Facebook group. You might want to join this group here. There we go. I hope some of you are joining this group. We're going to be doing a lot of cool stuff with folks, right? And Neeraj has just joined the group. Thanks a ton, Neeraj. All right, let me see here. So, Pallab, are we doing the?
Yeah.
Okay. For those of you that are interested, we're just trying to sort out a couple of tech issues and actually show you the text mining and sentiment analytics as well. If you have a couple of minutes, please do hang around. I think we are scheduled to end in 7 minutes from now. So I know I have 7 minutes more of your time, right? Okay, everyone? All right. Just a sec here. So Pallab, you're the host, right? Could you project your screen, please?
Yeah.
Okay. And straight away run the sentiment analytics. I think people are interested in SpaceX. Or are you're running it on a company, is it? Okay, 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 that's fine. See the mobile company reviews. Okay. So just go ahead and run, first of all, the word cloud. So folks, this is a company that fixes mobile phones, laptops, based out of Google reviews. They run Google ads and they fix mobile phones and laptops across different locations. And what you will see first up is that we're enabling the package called the R sentiment package. And while Pallab does this, what I'd like to share with you is that there are 4 boxes that you see there on the top right corner. He's writing his code, and just below that, he's getting certain prompts about the packages and the errors that he has there, right? So what he's doing is basically converting this text that he copied from the internet into a notepad file, a bag of words. It is called a corpus. Okay. I don't know if Pallav can show you the corpus, right? Can you open up the corpus? Pallav, would it be possible to show everyone the corpus, the actual feedback given by the learners in a notepad file?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So we'll actually show you the actual word corpus that we're using for this sentiment analytics. Open it up for you. There you go, right? And this is, can you maximize this? This is the raw data. People are saying so many things about their phones. You can see 1+3T, you can see worst service, you can see happy, affordable prices. But how do you make sense of so many customer reviews on the internet unless you can analyze it? So what we'll do now is we'll show you how we actually analyze this. So we'll go back to the R Studio with 4 parts, and we'll show you the part where we clean the data. So what you see here is we're removing numbers, we're removing punctuation, white spaces, stop words in English. So do you know what stop words are? Some examples of stop words? The, those kind of words, there's no meaning, there's no sentiment in them. So we remove those words, we remove extra white spaces, and after that, we actually do something called text stemming, where we reduce all the words to their root form. All of you know that words have root forms, right? Yes. So complicate, Pallav is saying complicate becomes complication, complicatedly, and all of that. And then we actually run the word cloud. So let's do that now. Yeah. Yes, Tilak, you're absolutely right. Okay.
Yes, that's good.
Okay, here we go. So what you can see here is you can see the entire sentiment scores for this company. So you can see positive, negative sentiments, you can see anticipation, you can see trust, you can see the fact that people are angry that their phones took a lot of time to come back. Your goal should be A, to improve the positive and the trust sentiment, reduce surprise, reduce disgust and anger and anticipation by offering SMS alerts to them that help them see where the feedback is, right? I mean, where their cell phone or their device is, where is it stuck, how soon will it reach them? You could do SMS alerts, email alerts, or a lot of other things, right? Now, the bag of words, right? If you open up the bag of words, it gives you certain hints about why these delays are happening, right? Okay. Word cloud. Yes. So we call it the bag of words. It's the word cloud. And in the meanwhile, I wanted to check, has everyone filled up the feedback form? Because this is how you will get your data, your recording, your presentation. I've just shared the link with everyone. Please fill it up because we're just approaching the end of the webinar. Now, mind you, all of you will receive a significant discount on the pricing of the course because you've joined this webinar. We deeply appreciate that you have been here today for 1.5 hours listening to what we had to say. And you will all receive globally a discount link to join the course. We're actually starting on the 4th of March, which is a Sunday, and there'll be 3 hours classes on Saturday and Sundays. And we look forward to a lot of you joining up the course. We promise it's going to be a really, really exciting journey, and you will come out with what I would call sort of expertise in R, more than intermediate skills in Tableau and Power BI and SQL, and the ability to either apply data science in your current job or move to a new job in data science. Right? So I'm getting a question saying which is the link for feedback. So I'm actually just sharing it right now with all of you in the chat box, right? So if you have any confusion, I'm just saying feedback link and I'm adding it here. And let me open up and see how many people have sort of filled the feedback. In the meanwhile, you can see the word cloud, which talks about fix it in 1 day. So in the word cloud, you can clearly see the word fix. You can see one, you can see day, but the person came tomorrow, the service guy came tomorrow, and those are the things that are resulting in sort of anger or disgust or anticipation, which they need to fix. But they are able to repair mobiles, right? And you all see that there in the bag of clouds. And R is really, really easy. Don't let the code sort of put you off. We will make sure that you're able to learn R right from the ground upwards, right? And that is something that we take responsibility for and we ensure for all of our learners. Okay, let me just check how many of you have filled the feedback form. So, and I'm going to take back the host now. Second here. I'll reclaim the host. Yes, here we go. I'm going to mute everybody. There's a little bit of background noise there. Howard says, enjoyed the session, looking forward to more, and yes, interested in our studio and more on Tableau. Thanks a ton, Howard. Right? I think Dallas has a thriving, analytics opportunities, and it's a wonderful place to be in Plano and Dallas. And I think definitely data science makes a lot of sense in that geography. Romy says, I would say one of the most concise sessions I've attended so far. Thank you, Romy. You've made my day. Thank you. And RM says, how much is the course fee? Well, yeah, so the course fee is actually $289, right, USD. And in INR, it's actually 18,900 Indian rupees for all of you that joined the course. This is a discounted course fee because the original course fee is actually $399, right? And 24,900 Indian rupees. But we've discounted it to 289 USD and 18,900 Indian rupees. If you're in Indonesia, Dubai, we also offer the ability for you to pay in Indonesian rupiah and Dubai dirhams and UK pounds, British pounds. So just let us know. We use PayPal, and you'll love the course, right? Duration and mode of instruction. See, for all of this, What you want to do is go to a nice link. I'll just share the course page link with you. We're just going to update this with the next schedule, which is 4th of March, right? Just Google Analytics Accelerator Certification. Okay, and you have equiscale.com. There we go. And it should show you the pricing in your geography. In the US, this will be after discount. We're running a discount for all of you today, $289. For India, it will be 18,900 Indian rupees, approximately the same thing, just a conversion from USD to INR. And likewise, in Indonesia, we can convert this directly into USD. So just go for USD 289 to Indonesian rupiah, and we will send you the link for that right away if you wish to pay in Indonesian rupiah, right? And that's a huge number because the currency there has a little bit of an inflation. Okay, so how many of you have filled your feedback? Could you please say yes in the chat box if you have filled your feedback? Okay, here we go. I'm just going to quickly check for the feedbacks that have come in, so we know how many feedbacks sort of got in today. Here we go. Right, so I've got 17 responses so far, and we have how many of us here in the webinar? Oh, well, thanks a lot. Someone says the session was interactive and better than all the online courses out there. Thank you so much. Sanchita says getting enlightened. Okay, that's fantastic. Right, let me just share my screen here. Okay, so we've got 17 feedbacks in. For the rest of you, I know you'd like the recording, presentation, and the data. So please do also fill up your feedback so we get more feedbacks in. So D Reddy says interested and looking forward. Yes, so please do email me and stay in touch. It's amit@equiscale.com, and there you go. That's my direct email ID, and I'm on WhatsApp. So if you just WhatsApp 0091 97316 57840, and that's me on WhatsApp. So we can chat as well. We can have a voice call no matter where you are in the world. And I want to say thank you to all of you. And I want to say sama-sama to my friends in Indonesia, terima kasih, right, for joining the webinar. Yes, I think we have Mohammed Ridwan, right? So terima kasih, Mohammed, for joining the webinar. Right. Some of you are asking, what do we do to make sure that we are able to access Tableau beyond 14 days. So here you go. This is the answer to your problems. If you're a student, you actually don't have a problem because students can actually access Tableau as long as they want with their student ID cards. But if you're not, you have Tableau Public, right? So I'm sharing the link with all of you, but really you can Google Tableau Public. It's not me doing this. It's Tableau offering it to you. And if you're a student, you can just, download the full trial and enable it using your student logon, right? Okay. I'll just get back to the feedback forms here again. Veda Girish says thank you. My pleasure, Veda. And let's just see how many of you have filled up your feedback forms. See, the feedback is important because they help us improve the webinar and make it more and more relevant for you. So we'll also send, how many of you want the R codes that, were used in today's webinar? How many of you want to sort of install R and have a look at those R codes? Please let me know. Okay, Romy wants it. Fantastic. Okay, so I hope you fill the feedback form because we will be sending you the codes as well. Okay, Tilak, I hope you fill the feedback forms. You'll get the codes as well. Okay. Okay, awesome. Right. So Howard, you filled up the feedback form. I think you actually mentioned your email ID in a private chat somewhere in the middle of the webinar. I can pull it out from there in case you've not filled the feedback form, Howard. Okay, you have. Okay, perfect. You'll get it. Okay, fantastic. Thanks, Ton. Right. So I'm going to close out today. I want to thank all of you for your time. It means a lot. Would some of you like to hang around and see how we calculate RFM? It's totally optional. You actually don't need to do that, but if some of you would like to see how RFM analytics is done in e-commerce, I could show you that. Yes, Guru, you will get a recording of the session if you filled up the feedback form with your email ID and your mobile number, those two things. Yeah? Okay, so I'm going to officially stop the recording because what I'm sharing now after this is an additional topic for those who are interested in going on for a further 5 minutes just to see what RFM analytics is and how RFM analytics works. Would you like me to include this in the recording, folks? Please say yes if you'd like to have this as a part of the recording. Okay. Oh, okay, fantastic. Let me do that. Yeah, okay. Why not? Yeah, absolutely, you're right. Okay, here you go. Folks, the way RFM works is really, really simple, right? And I'll give you an example here. What I have here is the data of some of the customers, and we talked about recency, and this is used in all e-commerce companies globally, right? So Andy transacted 45 days ago. Okay, so this one here, right? Alexander Diesel actually transacted just 1 day ago. So if today is the 17th, the last transaction that Alexander did was on the 16th. Okay, and what you see here, the recency score is basically 17 minus 16, today's date. And then you see the frequency. This is all the times that Alexander has ever transacted on my e-commerce platform, right? So Frika, Anastasia, Sama, thank you so much for joining from Indonesia. Okay. And I'll send you all the recordings and everything, Frika. Okay. So here what we have is frequency. This is 9 transactions. This is the number of transactions that Alexander has done in his whole life. Okay. Life equates to life on my e-commerce platform, for your information, right? So he's done 9 transactions. And then he spent a total of 1,410, right? That's the total amount that he's ever spent on our platform in US dollars, right? It's also called the customer lifetime value, CLV, okay? So if this is your data, how do you actually get the RFM score, right? So let me show you with a file. I'll just open up my file here. There we go, RFM analytics file, here you go. So what I've done is in this file, I've actually copied the data in parts, right? For the first one, I copied the recency only, okay? So I copied the customer IDs, the names, and the recency from this table over here, only the recency, name, and customer ID. Okay, I hope everyone's clear on that, these 3 fields over here, yeah? And then I added them in this table, and I sorted the recency from 1 day onwards all the way till 50 days, right? So in an ascending fashion, the most recent guy gets a score of 5 on recency because he just came to our platform 1 day ago. And the next one gets 5, and so does the next one who came 4 days ago, right? And the next 3 get 4 as a score for recency because they came 5 days and 6 days ago. And the next 3 people get a score of 10, 3, and then 2, and then 1. 1's the lowest score that you could get for recency. And Joe came 50 days ago and just shopped once, so he gets a score of 1. Now, why am I choosing to give 3 people the same score? Because I've got a total of 15 people, and I've got 5 scores that I have to divide amongst 15 people. So 15 divided by 5 is equal to 3. So all the top 3 people get a score of 5, and then 4, and then 3, and then 2, and then 1. Is everyone clear on this? Please say yes in the chat box if you're clear. Okay. Anyone who's not clear, let me know. Okay, I can help you, yeah? Okay. And then you do the same thing, right, for frequency. So, but this time I arrange it differently. So whoever came most frequently, maximum number of times, right, I arrange it in a descending fashion. So I sort it largest to the smallest, because if you came most frequently, I should give you a very high score. So as it turns out, Amar Fahad came 15 times, right? His score is 5, and so Serena and Alexander Diesel 5, 5, 5. But the next 3 guys, I score them 4, and then the next 3 get a score of 3. And likewise, for monetary value as well, if I spend more, that's a good thing. So I sort this from largest to smallest, and the top 3 guys get 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then what you do is concatenate all of these scores per person. So Robert Johnson, let's have a look at Robert here, right, for a second. So Robert, if you go find him, you find he has a recency score of 5, okay, and he's got, you know, a monetary score of 4. So that's, and then he's got, let me see here, yeah, he's got, I'm sorry, a frequency score 4, monetary score 4 as well. So when I combine 5, 4, 4, the RFM score for this person is 5, 4, 4. That's his total score, right? Okay. But understand that this is not a number. You cannot add or multiply RFM scores. These are just buckets or categories that people fall into on the basis of their behavior on an e-commerce platform like Amazon or eBay, right? So what do you do next? Well, what you do next is that you take these categories, and guess what? You could have like a lot of categories, right? So if you say 1 to 5, this guy is 544, this guy is 555, he's super, Ahmed Fahad, but this guy here, you know, he's 544, this one's 111, but none of them is better than the other, right? What I need to do is I need to create buckets to put these customers into, because these are not absolute numbers, right? And there could be like a lot of buckets, right? And human beings get confused with so many buckets, right? So what we do is we narrow it down. Instead of making so many buckets and creating a 3D cube of 5 versus 5, we narrow it down to just, and if I ask you guys, you know, do you like this? You'll say, well, hell no, I hate this, right? And how about this one? This one's a lot better. Please say yes in the chat box. Are these categories good for you to understand your customers? Yo, so what you're probably saying is, hell yeah, brother. Yeah, there you go. So now you can decide which customers to target with which email campaigns on an e-commerce platform by dividing them up using RFM analytics. But how do you actually do this, right? And here's our friend, whoops, sorry about that. Okay, so the way you do this is you actually combine 2 of the scores, monetary value and recency on a scale of 1 to 5, and take a mathematical average of those 2, right? Monetary and recency. And so if monetary is 3 for someone and, you know, recency is 5, the mathematical average is 4. And you take the frequency, suppose the frequency is 3 and the mathematical average is 4. Of the other 2, let's see where this person ends up. Okay, so I've got a table down here. So he ends up, 3 is on recency is loyal customer between 2 and 5. So he ends up here, 3. And then the other one was 4, right? So 2 to 5 is 3 and 4 is here. It's basically a loyal customer. Okay, that's how you plot this guy. And then you plot everybody and you create analytics in Tableau, right? Again, you've got to go back. You can do this in Python and R as well, and I can show you. But you've got to go back and then open up your Tableau and break this up and represent this in Tableau using a tree map. So what you get is customers and the number of customers in each segment, a little bit like this, right? And you import this into Tableau and you of these customers in Tableau. There we go. And here you go. This is your RFM tree map using Tableau. Right? Can everyone see this? Please say yes in the chat box if you can see the RFM tree map in Tableau. Fantastic. Right? And I mean, we'll cover all of this in the course, folks. And you can create RFM using Python, R, or Excel. It doesn't really matter. Tools don't matter, you know. What really matters is the technique, right? And this is how I arrive, or how you arrive at this tree map. And all of your CRM softwares out there, like Salesforce, Lead Squared, or Zoho CRM, everybody uses RFM to generate these RFM heat maps for your customers. Okay, cool. So that was your additional request, and I'm hoping that I can go home now, and all of you can go home. So I want to thank you. Let me just unmute everybody. Right. So thank you so much. You can say goodbye to everyone. So Hari, Abhijit, I've got you unmuted. Bye-bye. How are you? And have a good day ahead or good night ahead. Balaji, Hipali, Sudhir, Hamza, How are you? Goodbye. You can all speak, folks. So you're all unmuted.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Bye. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks a
you.
lot.
Hey, thanks a lot,
Thank you.
Kantesh, Rajesh, Romi,
Hi,
Sanchitan,
thank you.
Sanchita. Thank you.
Thank you.
Howard, thanks a ton. I've got you unmuted there. Prika, Anastasia,
Thanks a
thank you.
lot.
All right, thank you, Leandro. Thanks a ton, Manish, Praveen. I really
Okay,
appreciate
bye.
your finding the time. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Amit.
Yep, bye-bye.
Good, sir.
Thanks, Amit.
Hey, thanks a ton.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
great.
All right, here we go. We're ending the meeting. So again, I look forward to seeing some of you in the accelerator. Bye-bye. 4th of March, Sunday is when we start. Thank you.